utility patents. Welcome back, recording. So the vast majority of patents in the United States are utility patents, and that covers how something works, what it's made out of, just the usefulness of it. There's also design patents, which cover how something looks, plant patents, which cover a newly invented asexually reproduced plant. So if you go to the garden center in the spring and you see some new variety of impatiens there, that might be covered by a plant patent. If you go to the grocery store and you see a new variety of apple, that is probably covered by a plant patent. And a design patent just covers the way something looks, not how it works. So back to Coca-Cola as an example, that Coca-Cola bottle, it holds liquids. The shape is what makes it distinctive. Or that pomegranate juice that's the two spheres on top of each other. Distinctive shape probably was covered by a design patent, but probably not anymore. A design patent protection can last 15 years from the date the patent was granted, and utility and plant patent protection can last for 20 years from the date of filing. Just a real brief bit about the application process. That's not the point of the presentation today, but it will kind of establish why you do some patent searching and just sort of get a general sense in your brain. So you put together all the necessary parts in a very particular order with specific formatting. It is a legal proceeding, and the USPTO looks and sees, are the margins correct? Is the font right? And then are all the necessary pieces there? For instance, is there an abstract? Are there claims? Is there a specification? And assuming that everything is there and in the correct format, they send it off to a patent examiner. So the patent examiner then looks to see, is there any reason that this claim should be denied? So really kind of roughly, they'll read it and make sure that the invention is completely and thoroughly explained, that it completely supports the claims, and they will search the existing technology to see if it exists out there already, and that will help them determine the patentability of the invention. So why do you patent search? Does your invention already exist? You probably don't think so, and I really hope that's true, but maybe it does, and better to find out now than to spend all the time and effort to put together a patent application and then pay the fees, which they will not give back to you, and turn in the best patent application that you can, rather than have the patent examiner come back and say, well, here's what I found that is going to block your claim here. So thorough search will help you focus your application so you have the best chance of being granted a patent in the quickest time. It'll also, maybe as you're searching, you'll come across something that will give you some ideas. Maybe you make a few changes before you send that patent application in. You'll get inspired by other state-of-the-art technology that's going on. Maybe you see something and you think, someone's going to try to argue with me about this, but I disagree, and you can build that argument and be prepared. So patent searching is really about being prepared. So what do you search? Well, first of all US issued patents and published applications. And that's what we'll be looking at in patent public search. Also foreign patent documents. So I mentioned that intellectual property rights are territorial. Every country is going to have its own patent office, or I mean, there's the European Patent Office. That's a bunch of different countries. But you want to look at that too. And then also looking at non-patent literature, both in print and online. So websites and social media, also manuals, catalogs, pamphlets from a trade show, journal articles. And so we're only going to look at the databases at the USPTO. And we will do that now. Yeah, how's that for a whirlwind? We're looking pretty good, right on track with time. Okay.
You're doing great.
I think so. Thank you. Where do I? Oh, Zoom is getting in my way. There we are, uspto.gov. Are you seeing me? Okay.
We cannot see. We're looking at you still.
We're looking at just at me? Oh no. Okay. This was the technical difficulties I was hoping that we would not have. Let me
That's
put
okay.
up the
Do,
presenter view.
we just need to do your share the screen. You need to, no?
Hmm. It says I'm screen sharing right
Oh,
here.
just a minute, just a minute. Let me make sure, technical difficulties on my side. Who knows? Um,
I think we didn't even practice this. We practiced so hard, you guys.
I'm even changing you to the host. How about that?
I'm gonna
Oh,
stop
so somebody
sharing.
else can see browser. I
I stopped
thank you
sharing.
for letting us
Start
know.
listening
Okay.
again.
So go ahead, Eleanor. Evidently, they're okay.
Are we okay? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll leave it to you, Regina, to interrupt me. So here we are, uspto.gov. Excellent. Good. We made it here. It's the hard part. So as I mentioned, here's the gray bar across the top, and you notice as I mouse across them, some menus open up. So you got a bunch of stuff about patents. Under here, under the getting started, you've got your patent basics, process overview, those legal assistance and resources I will be highlighting at the end. And then we have a nice page about searching for patents, which talks about the importance of it, gives you a strategy. This web-based tutorial, just a little over a half hour, fantastic. Some stuff about patent classification, which we will be coming back to after we explore patent public search. But here is the find it fast menu. So I mouse over it, it opens, and here are the menus for patents and trademarks. Very first thing here, top left, patent public search. That's what we're going into. But let me just mention a little bit about this menu. It's kind of in the order that you would use it. So first is search, then it's filing, then it's checking on your application, what's going on with it. Later down, you can record assignment if you want to sell your patent or trademark. That record assignment is a way to transfer the ownership. If at the end of this presentation you're feeling like it just wasn't overwhelming enough for you, or you're feeling especially nerdy, that MPAP is the Manual of Patent Examining Procedure, and you can read that on your own. We're going into patent public search. So here we are in patent public search, and this is the landing page. And there's a couple of things to look at here. So you've got the basic search and the advanced search. We'll be spending most of our time in advanced search, but there are some things to look at in basic search. But then further down, you've got some reference stuff, some training materials, support and assistance. The USPTO is pretty good at providing support and assistance, and they do like feedback. These training materials, you got the quick reference guides. I actually printed one out so that I can look at it a little bit later, and be really like absolutely correct with my database information. And the tutorial videos, those two things are so great. They're pretty easy to find, and I know you can find them again yourself pretty easily, but they're so good that I put them in the handout too. All right, so let's look at this basic search. You got two things you can do search in this in basic search. You got numbers and you got words. So if you have a patent application, some publication number, or you have a patent number that you want to search, you can put it in there. It does the little search circle and nothing happens. Where is it? This is because you have to scroll down. This has gotten me a couple times. And so here's the patent that I searched for. And you see there are three ways to look at this patent. If I click, there's preview, PDF, and text. Now, if I click on preview, the first page of the patent will pop up on the screen. That's cool. If I click on PDF, Regina, are you seeing the PDF? Or are you still seeing the search page?
Nope, we see the PDF.
Fantastic, good. That's what I hoped it would do. And then text is just a way to see it in plain text. And so you can see from this, from the PDF, you see every patent is going to say US patent. At the top, there's going to be a patent number, the last name of the first named inventor, the date it was issued. So this is from the 80s, pretty good decade. And then some sort of metadata. There's always going to be an abstract on the front as well as a representative picture. And I think it's kind of useful to look at issued patents, especially if you're not familiar with them. You see what's there. You see what you're expected to provide in an application. But in the text, you see This invention relates to a method of growing unicorns in a manner that enhances the overall development of the animal. You're welcome. So that is why I chose that for a search. So that's see how you can see the results, and you'll see later why the advanced is a little bit better for navigation. So maybe I want to search for words. I can search everything. This is where I'll do a basic keyword search. You can also, this is a good place when you're looking for a particular inventor or a particular company, doing that kind of research. Here are the different fields that you can choose from, which is not everything that you would want in an advanced search, but it's great for basic. So I decided to search for a moon umbrella. However, the Patent Public Search Basic does not want me to use more than one word per text box. So, okay, it'll let you know things like that. So then I can just pop it down there. And again, seems like nothing happens, but you've got all these search results down here. You have, in fact, 1,401 records, which might seem like a lot. It kind of is, but it's kind of not that many. The US has issued over 12 million utility patents, so 1,400, not that bad. But you can see how if you wanted to look at each of these, you're opening a new tab every time, or maybe you're looking at the preview and it takes a little time for things to load. There's got to be a better way, and there definitely is, and it is in advanced search. Now, but before we go to advanced search, I want to say I searched for the words moon umbrella. Everything in this result list has both of those words in it somewhere. Are they next to each other? Are they in the same sentence, in the same paragraph? Who knows? We just know that both of them are in every one of these documents. Now, if I change the operator to or, it is going to look for documents that have the word moon in them and documents that have the word umbrella in them. They might not have both words in them, though. So let's see how many more results we get. We're going to get a lot more. 268,000 records. So that's the difference between and or. Nice to show you that here in basic search. But we're going to go back to the landing page for Patent Public Search. I'm going to take a drink of water because monologuing for a little while is thirsty.
I love your examples. Unicorns and moon umbrellas. Fantastic.
So that unicorn patent is an actually issued patent, which is so delightful to me. Moon umbrella, we're not going to find anything useful. It is a whimsical combination of words. All right, so here we are in the advanced part of patent public search. We're going to do a little bit of how do you navigate this place, play around with some of the searching, how can we do better keyword searching, and then talk about the limits of keywords and get into something that is really close to my nerdy librarian heart, classification. So let's look at this. First, we've got in the top left, the search box. You see here that the default operator is or. You see we've got 3 different databases. Here's where I look at that quick reference guide. So PGPub, that's pre-grant publications. All US patent applications are published a year and a half after they're filed unless you ask them not to. The second database is granted US patents with full text of most patents from 1971 until now. There's limited information for US patents back to 1790 with patent number, date, and classification. And that US OCR is granted US patents that were scanned using optical character recognition. So they have limited field specific text searching, mostly patents from 1836 through 2000. You can choose which one you want to look at. So if you don't want to look at applications, you can just deselect that. If you only want to look at patent applications, you can only look at those. I'll just leave them all. Down here in the lower left, that's where the search results are going to show up as a list. There's also 2 other helpful tabs. The help, super helpful. I consult it all the time. I don't need to remember everything when I can go and I know where to look it up. And similarly, you don't need to remember every single thing you hear in this presentation because you're going to have my email and phone number, and you can always just shoot me an email and say, hey, Eleanor, you mentioned this in your presentation and it is not stuck in my mind. Please tell me more. So help, always a great thing to ask for. Then there's the search history, which can be helpful if you're doing a lot of searches and you want to go back to something that you searched. You can combine search lines as well. And then over here on the right, there's a document viewer. Once we do some searches, there'll be things to look at over there. So I do my moon umbrella search again, and there's those 276,000 results. So I know that the default operator is or. I know that I probably want to change it. I feel like the default operator should be and, but there's probably some good reasons for that. And then so I put the and you've got that 1497. You might notice that's a little bit higher than in basic search. And that's because we've got the plurals and the British equivalents there. And that is probably what is bringing that number up. So, I mean, I don't know what the British equivalent for moon is. Maybe it's MOOUN. I'm joking. I think it's probably all plurals that are in there. So down here in the search results, there's all of these columns. Now you might find it useful when you're doing patent searching to be able to tag things in a variety of categories. So those could be very useful, but I'm gonna go to the settings here and I'm gonna get rid of the X column. I'm gonna get rid of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns because I just do not need them here. They are annoying me. So there's some customization that you can do that will, if you're gonna be patent searching, you want it to be working for you. And so I can even scroll over here and look at the title. I can look when I see in this list. The list is ordered from the newest to the oldest. So when I see it starting with 2025 and ending with an A1, I know that's a patent application, and the title's in all caps, which tells me that too. When I see the other one down there that starts with 12, and I know that the USPTO is issuing in over 12 million utility patents, I know that that is a granted patent with a B2 at the end. And I can, scroll down the list and pick some new stuff. Or I can go over here and I can click here with the document navigator and go from document to document. So nice and easy. So you might be saying, okay, like I've got the text there, but where's the pictures? The pictures are really helpful when you are looking to see what's going on with the patent. So in the document viewer, there at the top left, you can switch to image view. You just switch back and forth between them. They each have their benefits. So here I have a nice representative picture and I can take a look at that and see, does that seem like something that I want to look a little bit more closely at? I can change it so that it fits the width of the screen and I can scroll down and see the end of the page. But in order to see the next page, I need to use this page navigator up here at the top to click through the pages. If I'm particularly interested in the claims, I can do that, go to the last page, and there I am at the last page. And maybe I go back another page to see where the claims start. So that is a real quick navigation of how the system works. So let's go and talk a little bit about some cool stuff that's in the help. So there's useful information here about basic searching, wildcards if you want to match characters. We talked about the Boolean searches and the difference between and or. You can use not if you want a word to not appear in a document at all. But I was talking about, well, what if something is right next to each other? I can use this operator ADJ for adjacent. If I want to see things that are next to each other but not in that specific order, I can use near. If I use the operator with, they'll be within the same sentence. And if I use the term same, they'll be in the same paragraph. So I can change this default operator here. And you see 145 results where these two words are in the same paragraph. I can also, what did that say? With, in the same sentence. Instead of changing the default operator, I can just type it here. And you see, laptop screen's a little tiny, so a little harder to see, but you see I type that word in and it changes the format to show that it's an operator. And I can do that search. And that takes me down to 84 results where they're in the same sentence. And if I want them right next to each other, I can do a search. Because I didn't. If I put an operator in there, it listens to me. If I don't have any operator, that's when it puts in the default. So you'll notice those things. there's one result where those words are in that order in the document, and this is it. So there we go. So that is just a real rapid basic keyword searching. But the thing about this is this actually a moon umbrella? This is a visual object method and computer program product for determining one or more visual properties of a test subject. If I scroll down, my search terms will be highlighted so I can see how they appear in this document. But I'm pretty sure this is not anything close to keeping the moonlight from my delicate skin. Where is it? Where? There are so many words. So there we go. It's talking about graphical representations, and it's using moon and umbrella, two totally separate images, and they just happen to be next to each other in this document. So after all of that, I didn't even get anything that was related to what I was looking for. And full disclosure, I do not expect to find something actually in the moon umbrella technology area. I don't think that really exists. So I get something that's not even what I had in mind when I was searching. At the same time, I can think of other terms. Maybe you can think of other terms for a moon umbrella. Maybe there's someone out there who's coming up with the same idea and they describe it as a lunar parasol. Not words that I would have necessarily come up with, but if they are just using those words and they're not using the words moon or umbrella, then I'm not going to see those results. What do I do? These are the limits of keyword searching. So I'm going to take a moment to talk about libraries. I work at the Central Library in downtown St. Louis. If you've been there, you know it's an enormous building. It's beautiful. It's lovely to visit. But if you go in and you're looking for something, you want to know how things are arranged so you can go right to it. You can find some great stuff browsing, but say you're there looking for cookbooks. In particular, you want to find a French cookbook. I work in the room that has the cookbooks. So you would come in and say, hey, I'm interested in a French cookbook. And I know how the books are arranged in my room. So I will just walk you to the shelves and show you, and they're all going to be on the shelves together. All the French cookbooks are going to be on the shelves together. And then the German cookbooks are going to be close by them. And the books on Vietnamese cooking are going to be kind of close-ish, a little bit further away. And then outside of the cooking area, baking is its own separate section. A little bit further beyond that in the domestic arts, but outside of cooking, you're gonna find books on sewing. So it's kind of arranged so things are together with other things that are like them. And if you weren't asking me, maybe you wanted to find it yourself, you'd go to the catalog and type in something. Maybe you type in Mastering the Art of French Cooking because you remember that title, and you'd get a call number, and it would be 641.5944. I've been working with cookbooks for a while. I just know this. That's what the computer would tell you. And then you would go to the shelves and you'd see everything that's there on the shelf at that moment. Not everything that's checked out, not everything that lives at other locations, but they're all going to share that because we use the Dewey Decimal System across the St. Louis Public Library. The St. Louis County Library also uses the Dewey Decimal System. Most public libraries in the United States do. And it's a way of finding information. So it's a hierarchical system where you start from broad categories and it gets finer and finer, and the classification gets longer and longer, and you're able to find things on the shelf. So patents are organized very similarly to books in the sense that there are classification codes. And so the US had a US patent classification system for a while. Every country organized their patents a little differently, but in 2013, with the patent cooperation treaty, something like that, most of the countries in the world have agreed to use a shared classification system. So that is called cooperative patent classification. And if we scroll down a little bit on this somewhat irrelevant patent application, you see the CPC. So there's the cooperative patent classification. And you see it's a series of letters and numbers. And if this was a relevant document, I would say, let's go search those classifications, and then I'll get a comprehensive set of patents that I'll share this technology. I'm not getting anything extraneous. I'm not losing anything. Wonderful. So we can look at that from a top-down perspective, and we can look at it from a bottom-up perspective. So top-down, we go to the system and we look at it. We're going to do that right now. And bottom-up, we find one instance, and then we use that to find others. So I'm going to go back to uspto.gov. Here we are looking about patent classification. Blah, 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 and useful, fun information for you to read on your own, the cooperative patent classification, and here is the CPC scheme. So here's the very top level of everything. The initial letter is the section. So let's look at B, performing operations and transporting. There's a description of that top level, and then those two numbers after it are the class, and then the letter after those two numbers is the subclass. And so this is now just some nice descriptions. So if I click on one of those 4-character things, it opens up a different page that gets to even more granular levels. So you have a number before the slash, that is the main group, and numbers after the slash denote the subgroup. When you have these little dots here, that is taking you even another level down. So you kind of browse through. Maybe this is a way that you want to find some classification codes from here to there. So maybe I am looking at containers or dishes for laboratory use. Maybe I want to look at burettes and pipettes. So I can copy that classification, go back to patent public search, paste it in, and this is where the help is super helpful, because further down where I do those field specific searches, it is telling me the format that I use. This is not information I need to store in my brain when I can look it up. So I go down to CPC for cooperative patent classification, and I see I just need to take out the space and add a .cpc dot. If I don't have that initial dot on the end, nothing will happen. So I have to have that dot at the end. And then I have 368, and that is such a nice, manageable amount that I can just do some research of an afternoon. And I can look at all of these different results. So every patent document is going to have at least one CPC code. And some of them are going to be CPC-I, and some are going to be CPC-A. That I stands for invention information. So that is technical information that is an addition to the state of the art. That CPC-A, the A stands for additional. It is technical information that is not trivial, but does not by itself represent an addition to the state of the art, but it might be useful for the searcher. So that's what that is. So here we are, we browse through the documents, we see the different codes, and that first one is going to be the one that's most representative. So that tells us something too. So the idea is you do some keyword searching, find something that's in your area that looks promising, see what CPC codes are attached to it, and then search those. When you find in those search results other relevant documents, see what additional CPC codes are that you haven't searched yet, and then search those. One thing that is super delightful, and I don't know that anyone here is going to appreciate this as much as I do, is that look when I move the mouse. And I don't know if you can see on the lower left, the preview of the hyperlink. These are hyperlinked, and they're hyperlinked at every single level. And this is so exciting that you don't have to just look at a patent document and like write down the CPC and then search it in the system. You can actually click on it. So if I say, oh, what is G again? There, it opens it up. Physics. Awesome. Thank you. If I want to see what's G03B, it is stuff about taking photographs. If I want to look at the very most granular level, G03B17/17, something about reflectors arranged in a beam. So that's so fantastic. It takes me right to a description and I can look at it and say, this is part of what I'm claiming in my invention, or no, this has nothing to do with it. So every patent is going to have as many codes as it needs to fully represent the technology that constitute it. So some of them are going to be relevant, some of them aren't, and you just keep going and going and going. All right. So I hope that was as exciting for you as it was for me. I think this stuff is so much fun. But when do you stop? You stop when you reach the point of exhaustion. And not you being exhausted. If you're exhausted, have a drink of water, take a nap, pet your dog, go for a walk, maybe step back and take a break. There is a lot of information. I'm throwing this at you and I'm throwing it at you as fast as I can talk with while still hopefully being understandable. Like it's a lot. And when I started learning about patents and trademark stuff, when I became a patent and trademark librarian, like, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, it was overwhelming for me. And when 3 years ago we switched from the old search system, which I have complained about mildly, to this new one, which is so much better, this new one was kind of overwhelming. And it took me a while to even know where I was going, what I was doing. So it could be a little overwhelming. Now, my question is, what did I do with my slides? Oh dear. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment so I can find these slides again. They were just here, I swear. I must have closed them when I was trying to do things with my screen sharing.
This is our opportunity to get a drink and walk the dog and take that break.
I don't think it's going to take that long for me to get this up, but absolutely do a little stretch, do some breathing. There's my beautiful slides. There you are, buddies. Okay. Wonderful. There we are. We're back. We're back in business, I think. There we are.
Yep, looks good.
So when to stop? When to stop? So you stop if you find something that is like exactly your invention, then you know to stop. So if you're just find disappointment, that's a good sign. It's a stopping point. But otherwise, when you stop finding paths to follow, when you've exhausted the information in the universe, that's when you decide to stop. When you are convinced that you have looked at everything that it could possibly be relevant and don't have any paths to follow and feel confident that what you have is new and not obvious. My advice would be keep records of what you search, when you search it, and any relevant results that you find. So in conclusion, the best way to learn this stuff is to practice. It makes more sense. It gets easier the more you play around with it. Be patient with yourself. Keep those good records for yourself if you do take a break to, when you come back and know where you were when you started, and pick it up then. Or if you hire a practitioner to help you and you say, here's what I've done, here's what I've searched, here's when I searched it, here's what I found. It might save you some money because they don't have to duplicate your results. It'll probably impress them because you know a lot more about the patent system than the average person. And ask for help. Sources of help. Me. I love talking about patent and trademark stuff. It's probably the second best part of my job. So absolutely talk to me. The USPTO has many great sources of support. Off the top of my head, I could say there's the Inventor Assistance Center, the Application Assistance Unit, the Pro Se Assistance Center. I put links to all of those USPTO units in the handouts. There's also professional patent practitioners. So just like a lawyer has to pass the bar exam to be licensed as an attorney, anyone who wants to submit patent applications to the USPTO on the behalf of others has to pass the patent bar. So you have patent agents and patent attorneys. There is a database on the USPTO's website. Those are people you can pay. The USPTO also has 2 programs of free legal help. One is the Patent Pro Bono program, and that is experienced patent attorneys who are giving free legal help. The other is the Law School Clinic Certification Program, where law school students who are supervised by an experienced practitioner get some experience and you get free legal help, and they will prepare both patent and trademark applications. And links to those programs also in the handout. So again, this is how to reach me: phone number, email. We have a little page on the SLPL website. I I have answered patent and trademark questions by email and by phone. I've met with people online, sort of like we're doing here, except I would be able to see your face and you'd be able to ask me questions live. So we're talking to a computer screen. And of course, you can come and visit. So I would love to hear more from you. This presentation could be the start of our relationship. On the other hand, maybe you feel like you've got all the information you need and you can go off and do it yourself, and I cheer you on from afar. So with that, I would say thank you for joining me.
Well, we got some questions. We got a question.
We've got time for questions. I made this little form so you can say, here's what I liked about your presentation. Here's what I wish I'd seen more of, all of that. There's a short little link and this QR code. So, and also I am here to answer some questions. Yeah.
Can you get a renewal on a patent when it expires?
Nope. Once
Oh,
it expires, but hopefully by that time, maybe you've developed something new, a new improvement to it, a new useful improvement.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You know, we were just in a session with the USPTO, and he was talking about a lot of fraud.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any opinions? What have you seen stuff? Do you have some suggestions about what to do to protect yourself?
So I'm sure there is fraud in the patent area. Mostly I hear about it in trademark space, where when you
Hmm.
send in a trademark application, all of your ownership information, the metadata is public knowledge. And so scammers will often try to fool you into thinking that you need to urgently send them some money so that your trademark application doesn't become abandoned, which is nonsense. But also there have been a number of fake applications flooding the system. I'm not really sure who that benefits, but it has definitely made logging in to do all of this more effort. So there's been a lot of fraud apparently coming from China, and the USPTO is just always working to lock things down and keep things safe. Use your best judgment. I mentioned that part of the USPTO website where you can check on your filing status for both patents and trademarks. They each have their own place. That's where you can go. That's the official word. If you get a communication that seems suspicious to you, that's where you can go and check it out. But
I Governments have a reputation of being hard to get through. What is your experience with communicating with USPTO?
I have always had great experiences
Okay.
communicating with the USPTO. Everything I've learned, I mean, sure, maybe I have done some exploration on my own, but the USPTO has been great when I have reached out to them with a question. They have gotten back to me fairly promptly when I say, this website is doing something weird. What's going on? And they say, oh, it's because you're doing it as a guest and you're not logged in. And I say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or when I say, what's going on here? They've been very responsive to feedback. They are always very enthusiastic about getting it. They also provide a number of educational opportunities, which is great because I did mean to say this, and I think I might have forgotten if you hadn't asked. But there's always something coming up where they're giving you training, and you can attend live and ask questions. They also have a number of great videos on their website. So yeah, but all patent and trademark applications are now conducted online. You're not sending in a paper application. And sometimes the most frustrating part is like setting up that account. You have to verify your identification. It might
Mm.
seem a little bit like, why do they need to know all of this? It's because they're trying to combat fraud. I find it really frustrating, and then learning about the reasons why makes total sense, and I'm on board with it.
Fantastic. Does anyone have any questions? We have plenty of time. Does anyone have any questions about your specific circumstances? General questions?
Or did I overwhelm you so much that you're sitting there in shock going, "Whew, I need a weekend to process this," and then you're going to come back and ask me
Go
those?
ahead, Carla. Does copyright, oh, well, this is from Linda. Does copyright fall into this
Hmm.
under
Copyright
patents?
copyright is a form of intellectual property. It is registered at the US Copyright Office. I usually say any reasonably intelligent librarian can help you register a copyright. Registering it is not that hard. There's no searching involved. You basically just tell them who you are, what your material is, and send them a copy of your material. If you get into fair use, that is a legal question that I would send to a lawyer.
Carla has a trademark in Peru and would like to do the same in the US. Would a librarian, would you, Eleanor, be able to help her with that?
As much as anybody else, absolutely. Um, So if you already have a trademark in Peru, then when you file your trademark application in the US, you would say, I already have this trademark. It's sort of part of the application process where they say, like, is this something you're already using? Is this something you're planning to use? Or is it based in a foreign application? Mhm.
Are the chances better to get a patent in the United States if you have one elsewhere?
Mm, that's a good question. I don't think I know
Mm.
that. But if a patent was granted in another country that says that the patent examiner there did not find anything out there, that it was new and useful, you probably have to do it within a certain time frame because once that information is out there that's over a year old, that precludes you from getting a patent. It becomes sort of part of the public domain. So definitely might want to talk to a lawyer about that and get on that quickly.
Interesting. Okay. Anybody else? I'm glad to know we've got people out there with exciting ideas that are patentable.
Hmm,
That's
hmm.
exciting. Anyone else kind of get digging back into the unicorn thing? That is
Absolutely.
fantastic. What about
Uh,
artwork?
but artwork is a creative expression that would be covered by copyright. Now, you can have a beautiful logo that also functions as a trademark as well. Um,
Does that answer your question, Linda? You bet. So many
Wonderful,
things. So
wonderful.
many things. I have a
Yeah.
question when we go back to that one. Can you renew your patent if it expires?
Mm-mm. No, patents are designed to be for a limited term so that
Oh,
one company doesn't just sit on something and monopolize it forever. You can get a patent for an improvement to it, and that will benefit all of us when you improve the state of technology. But patents are limited in duration on purpose, as opposed to a trademark, which, as
hmm.
long as you can prove that you're still using it and you keep paying the fees, a trademark can live forever.
So that means somebody else can do an improvement to your patent, and so
That's
you
right.
might be the baseline, and then improvements can be by anybody. So,
Mhm, mhm.
mhm.
Yeah, the idea is just to advance the state of the art in all useful technologies for the benefits of the population. That's like the idealistic view of patents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Are we all okay?
Well, thank you, everyone. You're going to get that handout in a few days. And if you think of more questions, you can let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this. I had a fun time. I like
Thank
talking
you,
about
Eleanor. I just think it's great for everybody to know that we have your expertise in the city, right? We don't
it.
have to go to USPTO as a first resort.
That's right. That's
And
true.
sometimes that's all the help we need. And not
Hmm.
all the help, because that's awesome help.
It is awesome.
Look
In
forward to
fact,
my email later, everybody. It will have all of Eleanor's, the slides, the links to everything she was telling you about, and her contact information. So we will see you all later. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Bye.